Hello and welcome to the INDYCAR Debrief, where we're taking you behind the scenes of the 2021 NTT INDYCAR Series and helping you to make your picks for the INDYCAR Series Fantasy Challenge Driven by Firestone. Be sure to sign up. Join the world's fastest fantasy sports league. It's fun and it's free. fantasy.indycar.com or sign up via the INDYCAR app. I'm Jen Horsey and I'm here today with our co-hosts INDYCAR driver Conor Daly and Racer Magazine's Laurence Foster. Hi guys, it's good to see you after a little bit of a break.
Hey, how are you doing?
Summer break.
So it's been like a month, and we're going to look ahead this week to the Nashville race on Sunday, the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, and we've got a guest. We're going to catch up with series points leader Alex Palou. But before we get to that, let's take a look back. It seems like so long ago to last month's Mid-Ohio race. Conor, let's start with you. You were qualified 24th and up to 15th, and that sort of got me thinking about making moves. How important is qualifying, and what's the secret to overtaking in INDYCAR? I've kind of got a double-barrel question for you.
Yeah, qualifying, we missed on that for sure. It was really, really tough for us for some reason. The car was not agreeing with the new tires on low fuel, so I think sadly in the race we actually had great pace. Like we were really, really happy with it. But again, overtaking in these cars, I think right now, as much as the positions that we did make up, we did pass some people, but strategically is really where we did it because we had really, really good outlaps in the first few laps on new tires. So that kind of helped us jump forward. But I got stuck behind Pagenaud, and that was it. Pagenaud and McLaughlin were just there, and I tried for 28, 30 laps to try and pass Pagenaud and just basically stayed buried underneath his rear wing for that entire last stint. So it was something that, was definitely very annoying, but we made up a lot of spots for sure, much better than where we started, which was nice. I mean, no one's ever happy to finish where we finished, but when you see the grids as big as they are now, I mean, 26 cars in Mid-Ohio, 27 in Nashville, you're still beating a lot of people. Like that's the wild thing about it. Like if there was 22 cars like it used to be back in the day, you'd be way, way more upset. But now you're beating a considerable amount of people. We're racing with Penske for 14th. You know what I mean? Like it's a wild scene out there on the grid right now. It's so competitive. But yeah, I mean, I think qualifying again is of maximum importance unless you can nail the strategy. I think some of the guys that we've seen do an incredible job strategy-wise, like the Satos of the last couple races. He's also kind of started in the back, but had some really, really good calls, really good pit stops. And I was right behind Sato in the middle of that stint, in the middle of Mid-Ohio, and he finished 7th, and I finished 15th, and we were separated by 1 second at one point. You know what I mean? So at some point in the pit stops, we must have lost just 1 or 2 seconds, and that puts you from 7th to 15th. Like it's crazy to see how that works. And it's still mind blowing to me because I was trying to go back and like, where is it? Like where did that happen? You know what I mean? But that's how close this racing is right now. And I think with Nashville, qualifying is going to be very, very important because having done hundreds of laps on the simulator over 3 days at Nashville, it's an interesting place, and it's very, very, it's obviously brand new to everyone, but it's very, very narrow. The passing zones, I'm still not sold on yet. I think there could be some opportunities. We don't know what the surface is going to do with the tires, how big the tire wear is going to be, which is actually all awesome things for good racing. So we might not be very confident in the passing zones, but maybe the red tires wear out a lot. Maybe the black tires wear out a lot. Maybe the strategy is a crazy deal because of the new pit lane. I mean, everything's new. So all of that is very exciting for motor racing in general. And I can't remember the last time. The last time I went to a new street race was Baltimore when I was like 18. So, and that was in Indy Lights. So it's going to be really, really cool to see basically just how everyone adapts to the circuit and the weekend.
Very cool. I mean, that close racing and losing like 6 places or 7 places in a pit stop is why the fans tune in, right? This is amazing close racing. And I think it speaks to the fantastic formula that INDYCAR has right now and how great you guys are all doing. Laurence, it's been a month. I'm still struggling to remember some of the details from the 4th of July weekend. Remind us how that Mid-Ohio race went down.
Yeah, Team Penske finally got its first win. The win that Joseph Newgarden had been promising, despite the heartache of Detroit and the heartache of Road America. The guy leads 73 of 80 laps. At the end, challenged by informed Marcus Ericsson, who gets within a second of him at the finish. And another important thing for the championship as well, another super stout weekend for our guest Alex Palou. Yet another podium with teammate Scott Dixon there in fourth. But certainly Alex put in a few points extra space between himself and Pato O'Ward. So an interesting weekend, and sets us up nicely for the return from those 4 weeks of summer break.
Very cool. Well, speaking of picks, I mean, how did we all do? How did we predict the outcome, Laurence?
Bad.
Yes.
I mean, Conor, you go ahead and speak to your result there.
I did terrible. I know I did terrible, and I saw it as soon as the weekend started. And I don't know why these things happen. I've just it's not going great for me. I need to really sort out my head. I think Nashville is going to be a rebound weekend. I really thought Mid Ohio in general. Like I even had a speech with the team. I said this is going to be our turnaround weekend, and we just did not have the pace. Both me and my teammate, we were struggling, and it showed. So you know what? Sometimes you can nail it, sometimes you can't. But I don't know. We'll have to see how Nashville can go. Maybe we could have a little rebound. Because there's a lot more drivers to pick from. 27, you got Elio, a lot of cool things.
Exactly. Let's take a look at that Fantasy Challenge recap. Let's take a look at those points.
Well, as you can see, as Conor says, not a great weekend. But yet again, one of the things that letting us down is not, it is our choice of drivers, but also the fact that we, none of us seem able to pick a podium, to actually save our life. Steve, the enigmatic single name Steve, who was the high score from Mid Ohio, as well as being nailed on for the drivers themselves, he actually got a 1-2 in the podium, and that's something I think that we are all sadly lacking. I don't think between us we've hit a podium all season. In the overall scores, it's the reading is equally distressing. The Willie T. Ribbed for her pleasure stays at the top for yet another race with another solid 100+ score. And as you can see, we're now looking to maybe try and break the 1,500 mark before the end of the season.
I think we can do it. I think it's very tight there. It's still close. I mean, you nail one. See, the problem with me picking the podium, I pick way different. I pick a set of drivers for the lineup, and then I go different podium to see if I can't match one in the middle. And I sometimes pick with my heart, like, oh, that would be neat to see them on the podium. You know what I mean? That's a terrible way to pick, and it's a terrible way to do anything. So don't do that.
Well, my goal is to not be last in this league. So I'm still in the middle, hanging in there, skin of my teeth. So I'm going to try and keep at it. And I will also admit both of you have missed one round of putting your points in, and I have scored points every round. So, nobody cares how you got to the podium, just that you got there. So I'm going to focus on that. And so as we look ahead to our return after the summer break, this week's guest had extended its points lead at the last round, leading the point standings with 2 wins this year. Alex Palou, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Very good. I guess the more important question is how you're doing. I have a question to ask you about joining a new team. So you joined Chip Ganassi Racing for 2021 after a rookie season with Delcoin Racing. And based on the results so far this season, that seems to have been a pretty good move. So yeah, I'm curious, what's the transition like when you join a new team?
Yeah, it's been super good, to be honest. It was an opportunity that not everybody can have. I think I was super lucky to have a first year with Delcoin that was a good year, but was not an impressive year. But Chip and all the team around gave me the opportunity to get the champion car, just because they won the championship last year with Scott, and yeah, it's been working so far. It's been a nice start of the season so far, I would say, learning a lot from Scott, from all the teammates, and from the team overall, and yeah, having a lot of fun.
And looking at the whole championship, I feel like you're one of the young guns, right? You're coming up, you're doing spectacular. What does the field look like? What's the difference in being sort of newer to the series, a little bit younger versus being a veteran? what are you bringing to the table? It's a little bit different. We've seen a lot of young drivers doing incredibly well this year.
Yeah, I think it's been super exciting this year. Like we had 8 winners in 10 races, which is pretty awesome. Me first winner, I think Rines as well, and Pato is it. So lots of first time winners. I think it's awesome for the series, obviously, and I don't know, what do I bring to the table? I don't know. I think it's a nice series. It's a really competitive championship, like we've been saying, and we just try to beat the big guys, but it's super tough. Like they are always up there in the new tracks, in the old tracks, in the everywhere, and street courses, ovals. So look at Elio, like he just beat us in the biggest race of the year, just doing one race, right? So we're just trying to beat the big guys, but it's always tough.
Alex, as someone who also started his IndyCar career at Dale Coyne Racing, I went to a very different place after Dale Coyne Racing. But when you go from that type of team, because you know that it's just, it's without a doubt smaller, right? Just a little bit less. And I think everyone knows probably a little bit less resources than Chip Ganassi Racing. But I've obviously known Scott a long time. You know these guys. You see how well the team has done. For you as a driver, though, do you see a guy like Scott and a guy like Marcus, Marcus obviously coming from Formula One, a lot of experience, but you've obviously, been beating both of them very aggressively. But is that having their data and having two very different drivers as teammates? I feel like without a doubt, every weekend we've showed up and we're trying to beat Chip Ganassi Racing. Everyone else is. Without a doubt, I think you guys from last year, the team to this year, is at a very, very, the highest level that I think they've been at in several years. Is that because all three of you guys kind of have a little bit of a different driving style and everything is kind of coming to one point to where you're all getting so much more information and developing, a very, very quick car? Or what do you think has kind of helped overall get the team to be the powerhouse every weekend?
Wow, man, I never thought I would get a question from Conor Daly, man. Like this is a special moment, right? Like, and it's a really good question. I would ask an easier question, but I think the whole team did a tremendous job last year and the start of this year. Like we started really strong. It's all the team. It's not only one thing that makes it a good team, but obviously it's been a really successful team. And I think this year we've been really strong. But if you look at it, we don't have at the start of the weekend, we don't have the fastest cars. We only got one pole with Scott during the Indy 500. So we always start up front, but we never start on the first row. I think, I never started on the first row, only in Texas, because we didn't qualify. So I think having Scott in the team obviously makes a big difference. Scott is a guy that it's been around for 15, 20 years. He's every time we go to a track, he's the fastest. He's just like, he does one lap and then he does like the best lap time, and you're there chasing it all the time. He does it on free practices, on testing, during the race, the warm-up. He does it every single session, every single lap. And that pushes Scott, that pushes me, that pushes Marcus, that pushes Jimmy. And I think that makes us push him a bit. And it's like we are pushing each other all the time. I think Marcus, even if he doesn't have that much experience in IndyCar, he has so much experience in Formula One, and he's already the third year in IndyCar. So he's pushing a lot. Like you saw, he got the first win. He got a podium at Mid-Ohio, and he's super fast. So I think we're all pushing each other. There are some tracks that are better for Scott, better for Marcus, better for me, and that way we keep all the Chip Ganassi Racing cars up there. And it's been really good so far. We have 3 cars in the top 5, and that shows the big effort that the mechanics, engineers, and everybody at the shop are doing.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 cars in the top 5 in the championship, when you think about that, I mean, that's as competitive as this year has been. I mean, that's huge. I mean, I honestly can only remember times when we saw Penske dominating, if you'd see Will Power and Joseph Newgarden and like those 3 guys up in the top 3 with Scott. But now it's a pretty diverse top 10 in the championship. Even you see a lot of names because of the young guys, a lot of names because of the new guys. You know what I mean? So it's really, really interesting to to kind of see just how strong you guys have been and really just consistent. Like even if you're having a tough weekend, right? You look at the results and either you or Marcus still are in the top 10, no matter where you started, no matter what's going on. So I think that's so important in IndyCar, more so than I think any other championship because of how important scoring points is.
Yeah, I think in IndyCar it's so competitive that you gotta win when you can win, but otherwise you if you start 10th, you gotta finish 8th, and that just keeps adding, right? And you don't see it in one race or 2 races, but after 10 races, you see that maybe we were not up there on the radar all the time, getting poles, getting like super massive wins, and suddenly we are 3 drivers up there. So it's a super competitive championship, but hopefully we can keep it up till the end of the season.
10 races down, Alex, 6 to go. You've got a 39-point lead over Pato. You've got 60-odd points with Joseph and with Scott right behind. Is it the point in the season now where maybe you're thinking about it in a slightly different way to so far? You're leading the points. The races are running down now. Is there a change of mindset maybe at this point?
Not yet, because IndyCar pays really well when you win and when you have really good 2 or 3 consecutive races, and we have still 6 races to go. So even if I want to think about the championship, everybody thinks about the championship. All the drivers, all the teams, all the mechanics, they want to win. Everybody wants to win, and obviously I think about the championship, but it makes no sense if I go out in Nashville thinking, oh yeah, I have 39 points on the lead. If I only lose 10, I'm gonna be still okay. No, we gotta deliver, and if we can score 1 more point, 1 extra point every race, we gotta go for it. And if we can go for the win, we gotta go for it, because that at the end of the season it's gonna pay out. So it's still too early, in my opinion. Yeah, we got more than half of the season done, but it's still really early because as soon as you get 2 wins or you get 2 podiums in a row, you get lots of points. So I remember after Indy 500, everybody was like, oh, you got a lead of, I don't know how much was it, but we got a big lead. And then suddenly in 2 races at Detroit, getting Pato 2 podiums, Pato got the lead. So you can see that in IndyCar, the points are really important.
I mean, I think every time I ask this question of a driver, I kind of get a variation of the same answer. So I get it. You got to win every race, right? Got to get out there and win every race, but it's got to do something to your mindset as you head into the end of trailing races in the season. Like, does something change inside your own head? How do you keep from thinking about championship points, where you're standing?
Doing the best you can do every race. That's it. Like Mid-Ohio, I didn't have the pace myself, and I don't think we had the car to where I wanted to win. So I was not able to win, but we didn't try to win it on the first corner, going crazy. We just did our strategy, started 7th. We didn't have pace, but with good strategy, fuel saving, and a bit of luck, we got a podium. So that's what you got to do. If you cannot finish first, you finish second. If you cannot finish second, you finish third, and you try to make the most of it every single session and every single race. And that's how you maybe say you're thinking about the championship. So I think that's the only thing you can do from race to race.
Young guy, but that's a lot of that's spoken with the maturity of a champion. So it's going to be great to see how the second half of the season winds down for you. Laurence,
thank you.
Did you have some other thoughts?
No, I'm just wondering about the makeup of the tracks in these past 6 races. The last 6 races, we've got a track which is new for everybody. We've got a return to Indy for the road course. We have that final oval Worldwide Technology Raceway, but then we've got 3 tracks where the 3 final tracks are races that you haven't actually competed at before. How do you feel about going into the fact that we got Portland, Laguna, and Long Beach as, the point of the season where it's all going to happen and pay off? Yeah,
obviously I would love to go to Barber and Road America and Mid-Ohio, but we cannot do that. So it is what it is. That's why, it's super long. I think Nashville, it's going to be super exciting for everybody. It's new for the teams. Like, we're going to see some wild things, like some teams thinking that a really aggressive setup it's going to be okay, and maybe it goes, or a really like conservative setup, and well, let's see how it goes. I'm super excited about that. Indy road course, we've been okay. Gateway, I love that track. Hopefully we can get some overtakes. And then last couple of races, I'm really excited about Portland. Last week we tested at Portland, so I know the track. I think it's a really short track, but it's awesome to drive. Laguna, I tested last winter. So I'm looking forward to Laguna. And then Long Beach, I need to go with my job done before Long Beach, because I don't know Long Beach. All the drivers around me knows Long Beach, and it's a tough track. So it's okay. We cannot change that, but hopefully we can make the job done in Portland and Laguna.
Nice. Well, looking ahead to this coming weekend, I told you we were going to ask you to make some picks for the weekend. You can pick yourself. So what we're looking for you to do is, if you were going to select a team that you were the boss of, pick your 4 team drivers, and then also your 3 best bets for who you think is going to finish first, second, and third for the weekend.
You said you can't? You can
pick yourself.
Oh, I can pick myself. Okay.
Yes. Conor never seems to, but you absolutely can pick yourself.
The reason why, clearly.
Okay, so a team, Chip Ganassi. Chip Ganassi is going to get the most points and is going to get the win. Obviously, we got to go for it.
If you were making a team out of anyone, and you can pick your own team's drivers, like what 4 drivers would you pick?
What 4 drivers? Okay, yeah, got it. I'm going to pick Colton Herta. I think he's really good in the street courses. He's strong. I'm going to pick Scott Dixon. He's always really good on new tracks and all the tracks. I think you put this guy on a dirt or on a motorbike and he's gonna probably win. Did you know that, sorry for interrupting, but did you know that he did a triathlon during this break and he won?
He's like superhuman. Like, I can't even think about it.
That's the least surprising thing I've heard all day, honestly. The least surprising thing I've heard all day.
Man, like, it's okay. Now you know.
Are you running marathons? Like, what are you doing in the
No, I don't. I train. I do normal training. I do CrossFit, but I'm not. If I go to a triathlon, they're gonna kill me like 3 times. So they're gonna do.
We train like normal people. We train like normal people. Scott's a psychopath. That's what that is.
But how can you be a racing driver and train a little bit? I mean, he has some races and then go to a triathlon where everybody's preparing and you win. Anyway. So I gotta pick Scott Dixon. I would pick Scott Dixon everywhere.
The superhuman. Pick him. Yeah.
He's a super. So Herta, Dixon. I think Rossi. Is the time. Is the time for Rossi. We saw that on street courses he's really good, and I think Rossi's gonna be like really, really quick. And I'm gonna pick me because I need to keep me happy. So yeah.
That's fair.
Of course, pick you. Podium thoughts. 1, 2, 3.
I mean, to be honest, I always do the fantasy challenge with my friends, and I'm really bad because I always put myself P1 and yeah. So
So you, okay, first you.
Yeah, but you know what? In the Indy 500, I didn't, not in the Indy 500, in the Road America, I didn't put myself first for the first time and I won. But yeah, anyway, so I'm going to put myself P1 just in case I win. I'm going to say that Rossi is P2 and Dixon is P3.
All right. Not bad.
Very stout lineup. Very solid suggestions. I am taking those under consideration. I haven't put my picks in yet. So I want to thank you so much for joining us. It was really great talking to you. And I hope you have a great weekend in Nashville.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Conor, for your questions, man. It's a moment. It's a moment I had this year, Conor, asking me questions. So yeah.
I know you hate me. It's fine after Barbara. I get it. It was good.
Man, Barber. I didn't like you at Barber, but I liked you. I liked you after Barber, so it's fine.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Yeah. See ya.
Thank you. Wow, what a great sport. Well, Laurence, so we just heard some favorites from Alex. Now remind us, it's been a while. Remind us format-wise, what are we picking for this weekend?
Okay, so sorry, I've got to regroup after that warm and fuzzy moment between Alex and Conor, but it's bog standard. It's 4 drivers, it's $100, and it's the usual point scoring pattern. So a few recommendations from the racer side, and Conor spoke about this earlier. The fact that Rahal, the team has got itself so nailed on with a strategy. So we're looking at Graham Rahal and Takuma Sato both to actually, wherever they start, to give us 2 good, solid point scoring finishes and good value for money. We're also looking at, again, this was actually justified by Alex's thoughts on Colton Herta, but Colton is due a good one. Momentum is building again with Colton, so we're putting Colton out there as a recommendation, and Marcus Ericsson as well. Marcus Ericsson is on such a run of form since he got that win 4 races ago. So and his price hasn't sort of gone through the roof either. A good tactical choice, but we've got to go for 2 biggies here. And by the way, based on the rule that we don't pick the guest, we haven't gone for Alex, but Pato basically was just hot on the streets of Detroit. Look for him to have another good weekend in Nashville. And Joseph Newgarden, the local hero, he's finally got his win in the bag. He's got a massive streak of momentum, and I don't think that the pressure of racing at home is going to be a negative for him. I think for Joseph, actually being on home turf in Nashville is actually going to power him and sort of energize him, as opposed to sort of put the pressure on. What do you think, Conor?
I mean, those are all pretty solid picks. I think I would 1,000% hammer home Joseph. I mean, Joseph was pretty much unbeatable at Mid-Ohio. There was no way you were going to challenge him. I mean, he had so much pace on people. It was ridiculous. And I think Nashville presents, like Alex said something very interesting. Everyone's guessing on setups. Everyone, we were at the simulator, in Charlotte with Chevrolet, and we go through several setups. We're like, all right, let's try our St. Pete setup. Let's try our Detroit setup. Let's try our Long Beach setup. Let's try our Toronto setup. All the different street course setups, just to see which one feels okay on the simulator. But again, not real life. So, some people might think, well, our St. Pete setup might be better than our Detroit setup. And so, you might have several different people showing up with very different mechanical packages. Someone's going to nail it. So someone is going to, it's like gambling. I mean, someone is going to roll the dice and say, well, we might go, super stiff or super soft. Let's go no bars. Let's go a ton of bars. Like that. There could be a whole different range of setups. And because this track is very, very unique, it's all first gear corners except for one. So anyone who basically has the best mechanical package, I think, is going to do well. So I think this weekend you see the big teams succeed. The teams with the biggest damper programs, the teams with the best mechanical grip packages will be the most successful, because with all the first gear corners, you can't rely on the aero as much. You can't rely on the wings. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that works. And I know, for me, Joseph, for sure, if I'm going to pick a couple others, I think the Rahal guys, without a doubt, Graham, he's balls to the wall for sure on new tracks. But again, it's hard to stray away from the young guys too. You know what I mean? They'll take more chances. They'll do some, some crazy stuff. And you've got Elio. Like, do you pick Elio? That's the hard thing. Like, Elio, very good at Indy, but anytime he's done like a one-off road course, it hasn't really been necessarily super awesome. So depending on what his price is, I don't know if he's overvalued or undervalued, considering it's a road course. So there's a lot that I don't know, but I know, where we are on the simulator, I felt really good at the track, but it could be entirely different once we get there. So there's a lot of factors to think about. And again, when you make your picks, it's going to be a complete guess at this point. But I think going with experience, and then I'd say hammer the experience for your number one pick, and then the rest of the three go youth, and excitement.
Nice. Age or treachery?
Exactly.
Laurence, Conor and I have the luxury of waiting a little bit before we disclose what our picks are. I might not put them in until Wednesday. Laurence, you got to put your money where your mouth is. What are your picks for this coming weekend?
Well, we've taken the Conor approach to a certain extent. Obviously, Joseph is in there as our big money signing for the weekend. We've gone for Takuma just based on, as we've discussed, the fact that Rahal and Takuma will probably get it right there as a one-off. Jack Harvey is a bit like playing roulette. If you put it on red enough times, it's going to come up. And Jack Harvey is just due a huge result. And Scott McLaughlin, good point there from Conor. The fact that teams with the most advanced shot program could be in there. And Scott, I think the fact that he is in a Penske, I think this is possibly going to kickstart the rest of his season.
Anybody's game in the race, and I think anybody's game here between the three of us for the Fantasy Challenge. Thank you so much for sharing your recommendations. And I want to make a special thank you to Alex Palou for joining us. Make sure you sign up for the INDYCAR Series Fantasy Challenge driven by Firestone. Join the world's fastest fantasy sports league. Go to fantasy.indycar.com or sign up via the INDYCAR app. And we'll be back next Thursday for another episode of INDYCAR Debrief on racer.com. But before then, be sure to tune in this weekend for all the action from Nashville. Friday and Saturday for practice and qualifying, tune in to Peacock. And then Sunday, Peacock for the warm-up, and then the big race, 5:30 p.m. on NBCSN. For Conor, Laurence, and myself, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Racer channel on YouTube or find us wherever you get your podcasts.